Wisteria, energy, twister. Hello guys, welcome back. Wisteria here. This fairy tale is called The Bunyip. Long, long ago, far, far away on the other side of the world, some young men left the camp where they lived to get some food for their wives and children. The sun was hot, but they liked heat, and so they went. They ran races and tried to see who could hurl his spear the farthest, or was cleverest in throwing a strange weapon called the boomerang, which always returns to the thrower. They did not get on very fast at this rate, but presently they reached a flat place that, in time of flood, was full of water, but was now, in the height of summer, only a set of pools, each surrounded with a fringe of plants, with bulrushes standing in the side of all. In that country, the people are fond of eating the roots of bulrushes, which they think as good as onions, and one of the young men said that they had better collect some of the roots and carry them back to camp. It did not take them long to weave the tops of the willows into a basket, and they were just going to wade into the water and pull up the bulrush roots when a youth suddenly called out, "Why should we waste our time in foraging and gathering, doing work that is only fit for women and children? Let them come and get the roots for themselves. But we will fish for eels and catch anything else we can get." This delighted the rest of the party, and they all began to arrange their fishing lines, made from the bark of yellow mimosa, and to search for bait for their little hooks. Most of them used worms, but one man had put a piece of raw meat for dinner into his skin wallet. He cut off a little bit and baited his line with it, unseen by his companions that this is what he did. For a long time they cast patiently without receiving a single bite. The sun had grown low in the sky, and it seemed as if they would have to go home empty-handed, not even with a basket of roots to show, when the youth who had baited his up with raw meat suddenly saw his line disappear under the water. Something, a very heavy fish, he supposed, was pulling so hard that he could hardly keep his feet, and for a few minutes it seemed either as if he must let go, be dragged into the pool. He cried to his friends to help him, and at last, trembling with fright at what they were going to see, they managed between them to land on the bank a creature that was neither calf nor a seal, but something of both, with a long broad tail. They looked at each other with horror, cold shivers running down their spines. For though they had never beheld it, there was not a man amongst them who did not know what it was. The cub of the awful Bunyip. Now the Bunyip was thought to be a wicked creature that lurked in dark, watery places, went out at night to prey on unsuspecting people. Actually, just women and children. It would just devour women and children, not men. It was said that it knew terrible magic and would use all means, fair and foul, to defend itself, its evil home, and, of course, its offspring. As the young man stared at the monstrous cub in dread, all of a sudden the silence was broke by a low wail, answered by another from the other side of the pool, as the enraged Bunyip mother rose up from her den, her horrible yellow eyes glinting in the darkness. Let it go, whispered the men to each other. But the captor declared that he had caught it and was going to keep it. He had promised his sweetheart, he said, that he would bring back enough meat for her father's house to feast on for 3 days. And though they would not eat the little Bunyip, her brothers and sisters would have it to play with. So he threw the little Bunyip on his shoulders and set out for the camp, never heeding the mother's cries of distress as she hunted for her baby in vain. By this time, it was getting near sunset, and the plain was in shadow, though the tops of mountains were still quite bright. The youths had all ceased to be afraid, when they were startled by a low rushing sound behind them, and, looking round, saw that the pool was slowly rising, and the spot where they had landed, the bunyip cub, was quite covered. What could it be? They asked one another. There was not a cloud in the sky, yet the water had risen higher already, and they had never known this happened before. For an instant they stood watching as if they were frozen. Then they turned and ran with all their might, the man with the bunyip baby running faster than all of them. When he reached the high peak overlooking all the plain, he stopped to take breath and turned to see if he was safe yet. Safe? Why, only the tops of trees remained above the sea of water, and these were fast disappearing. They must run swifter than the wind itself if they were to escape. So on they flew, scarcely feeling the ground as they went, till they flung themselves on the ground before the holes scooped out of the earth where they had all been born. In the village, the old men were sitting in front, the children were playing, and the women chattering together, when the little bunyip cub was flung into their midst, and there was scarcely a child among them who did not know that something terrible was upon them. The water, the water, gasped one of the young men, and there it was, slowly but steadily mounting the ridge itself. Parents and children clung together, as if by that means they could drive back the advancing flood, and the youth who had caused all this terrible catastrophe seized his sweetheart and cried, "I will climb with you to the top of the tree, and there no waters can reach us." But as he spoke, something cold touched him. Quickly he glanced at his feet and danced with his feet. It was the water. Then, with a shudder, he saw that there were feet no longer, but birds' claws. He looked at the girl he was clasping and beheld a great blackbird standing at his side. He turned to his friends, but a flock of great, awkward flapping creatures stood in their place. He put his hands to cover his face, but there were no more hands, only the ends of wings, and when he tried to speak, a noise such he had never heard before seemed to come from his throat, which had suddenly become narrow and slender. Already the water had risen to his waist. He found himself sitting easily upon it, while it surface reflected back the image of a black swan, one of many. Never again did the swans become men, but they are still different from other swans, for it is said, in the night time, those who listen can hear them talk in a language that is certainly not swans' language, and there are even sounds of laughing and talking, unlike any noise made by swans whom we know. The little Bunyip was carried home by its mother, and after that the waters sank back to their channels. The side of the pool where she lives is always shunned by everyone, as nobody knows when she may suddenly put out her head and draw him into her mighty jaws. But people say that underneath the black waters of the pool she does have a house. This house is filled with beautiful things, such as mortals who dwell on the earth have no idea of, things our eyes have never seen. Though how they know I cannot tell you, as nobody has ever actually seen the Bunyip's house. The end. That's the story of the Bunyip. Interesting story indeed. Thank you for listening. Please hit that like button, share if you can, and consider subscribing. Many blessings. Wisteria, energy, twister.